Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is part two of a drawing called Head of a Black by Albrecht Dürer. Albrecht Dürer was an artist during the time of the Renaissance. He was up in the north and is not as well known as Leonardo da Vinci and Michelangelo, some of the other Donatello, some of the other Italian Renaissance artists, but he's just as important. His work was smaller, so it wasn't as well known. When we take a look today, we're going to see that last time we set this portrait up by looking at all of the big shapes. We drew the lines across, we found the angle for the eye, we found where the chin goes, where the shoulders go. We looked at all the big shapes first. Then we looked for this little shape right here between the nose and the cheek, which is so important in a three-quarter view portrait. This is the most important shape to get in a three-quarter view. If you can get that shape correctly, the rest of the face will fall into place quite well, quite nicely actually. We looked for the line for the mouth, for the bottom of the nose, for the bottom of the chin. And we noticed that all three of these parts met together right here at the ear. The back of the head, the hair, and the neck and the ear all met together right there. And we took a look at, right at the end, we took a look at this line right here, which comes down the cheek. There's a line that comes straight down the cheek, which is going to run into the beard here. So we're going to pull this out. The edge of the mustache and the mouth is going to fit right in there. So that's what we're going to work on today. Is we're going to start with this small eye. We're going to work our way down the face here like we did with the three-quarter view blank, and then come back up to this eye and then work our way around and then add the shading. So let's get to this. What I would like to do with this one is, in order to see this small eye a little bit easier, I'm going to take one of these handouts and I'm going to fold it over so I can move it closer. This helps an awful lot. And this way I can enlarge it so you can see easier what I'm doing. So as I'm looking at this, let's get this in position here. Okay, so here's my drawing, and here's this handout that I have. Okay, so I'm going to pull this over this way, take it down, and I'm going to enlarge this just slightly more. Okay, that looks pretty good. All right, so right in here, what I'm going to look for is, as I'm seeing on this drawing, this is going to round here. So I'm going to start to put in some of the little details that I'm seeing here. On the outside of the face here, this is going to round, and the cheek's going to come down like that. I'm just going to try to handle that a little bit better. Okay, let's clean this up. This upper brow comes out, then it pops in, and then it comes around like that. Let me straighten that just a little bit more. Okay, here's the line where the eye level line comes through here. So right at that eye level line, I'm just going to lightly erase it. You can still see it. And right in here is where this small eye is going to go. If you look really carefully, you can see you cannot see the inside corner of the eye. It's going to bump right into the side of his face right here. Okay, so the side of his face comes up like this. This is going to come around for the upper part of his eye. And you can see it kind of rounds here just a little bit. And then you can see the bottom part of the eye rounds back, and it's going to bump into this part of his nose right there. His upper eyelid is going to pop out, and it's going to come over and actually touch the outside of his cheek. This is going to be a big foreshortened curve right there for his upper lid. His lower lid, you're going to see just the thickness of it very, very lightly here. My pencil is quite sharp for this because this is some pretty small drawing I'm doing in there. So as I put in this small eye. I'm going to shrink it down just a little bit. Usually we'll draw that a little bit slightly too big. While I'm in there, I'm going to look at the negative space here, the negative space in the eye, the negative space in the cheek. So I want all of that to line up too. And if you look closely, you can see the iris and the pupil are more to the left-hand side there. The white of his eye is right there. I'm even going to move that over just a little bit more, just slightly more, right here. This is very small drawing. You can see by the size of my pencil tip there that this is really quite small. Okay, so I'm trying to show you this as large as I can on the screen. Okay, I see a little bit of a highlight right in here. I see the pupil area kind of surrounding that. And then I see a darkness, and I like to do this little radiant lines in there. I'm just going to show you that that curve needs to change just a little bit. I like to do a dark across the top of this eye a little bit like that. So that's showing me that eye. Okay. Then I'm going to put in this eyebrow. Since I'm right there, the eyebrow is going to come around like this. I'm going to put a little bit of shading in there right away too, since that's pretty solid drawing now. I have that, I spent quite a bit of time finding that. Okay, his nose is going to come around like this. Let's move this up just a little bit. Okay, so his nose is going to come around, and then right here, here's the bottom of his nose. This is going to come and loop up like this. Then you're going to see this nostril is going to be an upside down loop that comes over like this, like a foreshortened curve. And then you can put in his outside nostril here. There's quite a bit of space there, so make sure to leave enough. You can always add a little bit more later too if you need to. I think I have this part right here back too far, so I'm going to change this a little bit. Let's bring this up, and let's bring this over here. That looks a little better. And then I'm going to make this a little bit smaller, the opening for the nostril. That looks better. And then I'm going to bring this in a little bit too. It looked like it was a little bit too far back. That looks better. Okay. Now, when you get down here to the philtrum, his philtrum is covered with his mustache. But if you look at the philtrum, it comes out of this nostril here, and you can see these two angles. I'll hold my pencil up there. There's an angle like that and an angle like that. These two angles right here for the philtrum come forward. The top of his lip is going to come like this. There's the, from the philtrum, this curves. And then you can see right here, I always like to point out that with his lip, on the back side of his lip right here, there's kind of a heart shape right there. You can see the V. This is a very typical mouth by Albrecht Dürer. He has a V shape here. I think I'm going to move this one over just a little bit. That's better. Here's the V of the upper lip, and then it's going to come down. And then right here, you see this little heart shape right there. It's very small. It's a little heart shape, just in time for Valentine's Day, which may be past, it will be past by the time you draw this. And then his upper lip on this side is going to come up and then angle down like that. So that looks a little bit better. Let's move this up. His lower lip here is going to be quite full. And if you draw a line up and down here, straight up and down, okay, if I get that straight, if I line that up a little bit straighter like this, you can see, let's back it up just a little bit so you can see a little bit better. If you draw a line straight up and down here, you can see that his mustache, and you can put that in there, is going to come out and touch this line. And his lower lip is just going to be a little bit back from that line, something like that right there. And this is going to come around and attach over on the other side. There's his lower lip. His lower lip has a crease right here, and there's going to be a shadow underneath it. This is pretty tricky drawing right in here to get the mouth correct. Mouths are always hard. With Mr. Lincoln's mouth, his upper lip was really thin. This man's lip is a little fuller. And then I'm going to come down here, and then there's a curve that comes up. As you look right here, there's a curve that comes up and then down and then scoops up again. And then this is going to lead down to the beard, which you can do some little squiggly lines like this. I'm just kind of doing little scribble lines, which are all going to line up with that line that goes up and down there. When I get all of that in place, I'm going to erase that line because I don't really want that there anymore. And then I can see that a little bit better, what that looks like. Okay. So there we go. I'm going to open this up a little bit. Fold in it. Now you can see a little bit easier. Let's back this up. You can see a little bit easier more of the parts of the face here. So this part right here is pretty difficult little drawing in there. I can add his mustache in here now. And it's going to come over to the side of his face. Whenever you're doing a blank, you usually don't have hair on them, but when you're doing a portrait of a real person, there's going to be facial hair. I'm going to add a shadow right in here. It's going to be really important underneath this lip. This lip is going to cast a shadow down onto his chin here. This is going to come down a little bit more. So in this hair and the shadows kind of work together down here to form the chin. It's kind of fun drawing this. And then again, you can use a Q-tip if you want to soften this a little bit. Again, I really like the dignity that Albrecht Dürer uses in his drawings. He tries to draw people as noble creatures, and you can see it in his work. You can see it in his eyes. You can see it in the features. All right, now there's this other little nostril back here that we didn't put in there yet. So it's time we do that. It's just a little loop. That nostril right there is just a little loop that comes down and around right there. And now I'm going to start to shade in the nose. I don't even have the other eye in yet, but I'm already doing a lot of this shading, and that's okay. Because we're pretty confident that these are in the right spots. And it will also help with placing that nose. I mean the eye, not the nose. We already have the nose in there. Okay. So now it's all about placing this eye. That eye is a little tricky to do I'm going to back this out some. And if we take a look at some of these lines, if you go and look at a line from the inside corner of the eye, you're going to run a little bit past the nose there. The nose actually goes down to the mouth. The nose and the mouth line up there, so we're pretty good. If you go out from that nostril just a little bit and you go straight up, we're going to run into the inside corner of the eye. So the inside corner of the eye should go right about there. And that looks pretty good, actually. We already have this angle here for where this eye is a little bit lower than that one. He's looking up slightly. He's looking up just slightly. Let me square this up for you a little bit. So, all right. So if you come back from the nostril here just a little bit and put a line up, come back from the nostril here just a little bit, put a line up, we're going to run into that eye. So I'm going to put this eye pretty much right on that eye level line. This eye is a 3/4 view eye. Now, the corner here is going to, that line right there is going to be the tear duct right there. So I'm kind of drawing in that tear duct. And then I'm going to scoop underneath here. I'm drawing this so that you can see the whole face a little bit more. And then this eye is going to angle down like this. Now I'm going to go in a little bit closer. Okay, so now we can see, well, now that you see the placement of it, now we can go in there and look at some of the details. So this is going to angle down like this a little bit. You're going to see the upper eyelid is going to travel across the top of there. That might be just a little bit wide. I'm going to narrow that down some. I don't want it too big. A lot of times we tend to make the eyes too big. More like a Walt Disney eye, anime eye, which is fine in anime and Disney, but when you're trying to draw it realistically, it doesn't work very well. Okay, so if you look real closely at where this eye is placed, he's looking forwards. So there's more of the white of the eye back here. There's more white back there than there is in the front. I'm going to put a highlight here. I kind of see a highlight there. Maybe I'm making that up just a little bit. That's okay. And I'm going to put in the pupil. This is all pretty small. This is all quite small drawing in there. You need your pencil quite sharp. Usually I do this twice this size when we're in class, but it's more difficult to teach it that way, so I shrunk this down a little bit for this lesson. Okay. So right up here, I have his eye lid, and sometimes it's pretty hard to place that eye. This one seemed to fall in there pretty well. Now, up above his eye, if he comes straight up, he has an eyebrow that's going to kind of angle up and then dip down like this. A cool looking eyebrow. I like that. Okay. Now, I'm going to just place the ear, and then in the next video we'll finish him up. So, let's see if I can do this without hitting my microphone. Almost every time I go to adjust that, it seems to want to. Now, with the ear, I just want to place this ear. We already have the back of the ear quite well placed. But what I'd like to do is this. So there's my original drawing right here. Here's the original handout that we started with. Now, I'm going to lay this one right over top. It's exactly the same size. Now, with the placement of the ear, the idea of a 3/4 view portrait is the front of the eye to the bottom of the chin. See how I'm measuring this with my finger right there. This much is going to equal the front of the eye to the back of the ear. Right? I did not change my grip on that pencil at all. So here, if I'm looking, I can see the front of the eye to the bottom of the chin. The bottom of this chin is going to come right down into here. Front of the eye to the bottom of the chin should equal the front of the eye to the back of the ear, which means the back of the ear is going to come right to here, which means that that ear is placed pretty well, actually. Here's the bottom of it. The back of that ear is placed quite well. Now, in order for me to find out exactly where it goes, I'm going to look at this. If you look at this angle of the eyes from the eyelids, and you can measure from there now because you have both of those eyelids in there, right? Let me get this a little bit straight. If I measure this line, you could draw it on there if you want. Take it across the top of the eyelids. You're going to go to the top of the ear. And then the bottom of the nose, if you go the same angle as that, you're going to come to the bottom of the ear, which tells me that this ear is going to fit right in here. And then the lobe comes up, and then the bottom of it sticks out just a little bit more like that. So he's got this rounded lobe right there. So the back of the ear is going to run into the neck right here, and then the back of the head right there. And that is a really important part where those three parts meet. See, right there, that's an important thing to see. All right, that's plenty for this video. We're going to do one more and we'll finish up his hair, his features, and I might tell you a little bit more about Albrecht Dürer. Thanks so much. Enjoy drawing with you.